what separates me from a lot of people is they go into a daunting task, and the task is overwhelming. You have to be open-minded to the possibilities that I can do this. Once you shut your mind down to the possibility that it can be achieved, there's no way it can happen. If you're in a fight, you have to attack. You have to keep attacking. The enemy has to know he is not going to give up. You must break the soul of whatever the fuck is in front of you. Devise ways to break a soul of a human being, of an object, of whatever's in front of you. If you keep on attacking something, nothing wants to stand in front of anything that is relentless. Nothing. They tell you how you're supposed to feel. So you are feeling that way. I was like, don't let these motherfuckers tell you how you're supposed to feel. No, it's day one, motherfucker. But you have to have the will, the heart, the courage to go that distance when you're exactly jacked up. You have nothing left to give, and give more. Get myself jacked in a horrible environment when everybody's miserable. Find strength in the misery, because you can get a lot of power through misery. Using all that misery for tons of drive and motivation. Take these motherfuckers' souls. We start fueling off of that. We start fueling off the fact that, man, it takes 1 second of energy to steal everybody's. And then you have all the energy you need. That's all you need. You need to look at someone's eyes. You know how it is when you fight somebody, you broke that motherfucker. He's like, oh God, man, I don't want to go back to the next round. And you feel like, my God, I can fight all day. You have to take great pleasure in the fact that no one wants to be where the fuck you're at right now. Great pleasure, man. Most makes it has to bring a passion out of you. It has to bring something very, very weird out of you, man. Like, people don't really understand what that is. When you're in the worst environment possible, the worst situation possible, and everybody's looking like, God, man, I hope this ends. And you see that. Time slows down and you see that. You're feeling that. Everybody has that look on their face like, God, this guy's good. I don't want to be anywhere.
Now for the military, we call these instructor-led runs. Most of the time we knew the start and end point. So on the way back, I start seeing people getting happy and shit. Because the end was near. But there were some asshole instructors that would hear the happiness and go right on past the end point. When that happened, everybody stopped talking. Heads would start dropping. And I start taking fucking soul. At that time, I knew what happened in their mind. They were living off the hope factor. They hoped the instructors would stop running. They hoped the water was never cold. They hoped the weather was fucking good. I don't live off that hope shit. I wish the water was cold. I wish them motherfucking instructors keep on fucking running. I wish the fucking rain. When the ending is unknown and the distance is unknown, that's when you know who the fuck you are. Stay hard.
What's up, everybody?
Diddly diddlies.
I don't know what's on your end, dude, but I'm hearing a lot of noise.
You're hearing a lot of noise?
Yeah.
It could be my end. Yeah, it's probably. I think the family's out in the living room watching the new Wednesday series on Netflix.
Sorry, it could be a buzzkill right after that. But hey, welcome back, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Better Bros podcast.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Exactly.
So I get that reference. Good on you.
If you don't, get off your ass. So
indeed,
as Lewis Black says, get off your ass. So yeah, welcome back, everybody. We're glad to have you here. That video, the intro that we did, I know we don't do that very often, but every once in a while we'll play a video. So that gentleman is his first name is Walter.
His name is David Goggins.
Excuse me, David Goggins. He is a motivational speaker, SEAL, and whatnot, and he's talking about just find the energy to persevere and keep going and whatnot. So
That's right.
if you caught our show last week, we actually did the first of 2 parts of a series on the topic of driving on. So that Alamo found that video, and it was very, very apropos to kind of add that into the show for our topic point today. So
Absolutely, baby.
we'll get into that in a minute. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, bro.
Let's do it, baby.
How was your turkey day?
I had the itis. I had to be very careful on the way home, driving home from Tampa, because
Oh, jeez, yeah. That's when you pop
driving.
a OK. You probably should have popped an OK Go and just.
I
Honey.
contemplated that.
But that's perfect though, because you're like, honey, I'm tired, and she's looking at you going, drive on.
Drive on.
Literally.
And it was a good time. I made a fucking bomb ass turkey, man.
Yeah.
I'm not into going. Excuse me. Good Lord, what was that? I'm not going to go into all my little trade secrets as I, as to how I cooked it and all that good stuff.
Chefs and magicians, man, they never reveal all that info. You got to leave a little bit left to the imagination.
And it just know it came out fucking yummy.
So shout out to my brother and his lovely girlfriend. They hosted my mom and my older brother and I at their place in Lakeland, and they did a turkey. I was a little bit curious as to how it was all going to work out, because they found a recipe. Jesus, they found a recipe from.
They found Sting in the background, ready to kick someone's ass.
They found she found a recipe online from one of those chefs. I think his name was either Tyler Florence or something like that. But came out so good. Like, I usually eat like legs and thighs kind of stuff, but I was munched down pretty good on the lighter, the breast meat and stuff.
I was gonna say the chesticles.
Oh man, so I mean, I'm sitting there smelling and eating, and I had a John moment. I was just like. Yeah. It was so good. No, but it turned out really good. Like, just everything came together phenomenally well. So if you guys are watching, or if you ever watch this, 5 stars. So it was good. But then I had to drive home. I mean, so he just moved out to Lakeland, so I had to drive home. But
the itis was real.
The itis was real. That's a good one. So it was a good holiday, man. It was nothing crazy. It was just family got together, just kind of hung out, and kind of spent the day smelling food while it was cooking. Just like so. Yeah, it was a good time, man. That's like part of the temptation. Like, I fasted all day long too. I was just like, I had oatmeal for breakfast that morning, and I was just like, fat guy's getting hungry. So anyway. So like I said, if you caught the show last week, we had the first of 2-part discussion on the topic of driving on. We talked about perseverance, and that video that Alamo showed from David Goggins could pretty much go for either one of these points. It's kind of a very good,
freaking brother,
very good lead in for that. So if you caught last week's episode, we appreciate you watching. Thanks for coming back, checking us out. Also, make sure we forgot this part. Check out our social media.
Check out them social medias. You can always catch us at. Let me find my mouse.
We got the Facebook. We've got the Gmail. We've got the Insta. We've got the Twitter. We got all that stuff.
You can find the Insta at BattleBros_podcast. You can find us on the Twitter space at BattleBrosPC. You can find us on Gmail at BattleBrosPC@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Spotify, Anchor. You can also find us on Amazon Music now, iHeartRadio, and any other platform that you listen to most.
Also, check us out on the YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. If you want to go back and watch the episodes that we do, hey, go for it. So
remember, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can actually get notifications when we have a new show coming up.
Yeah. So we're gonna figure out the rhythm of that. We're gonna start doing the social media plug at the beginning too, in case people are like get to the end of the
Yes.
show and they don't want to listen to the same old crap that we're always talking. So we get it, but we're gonna find a nice organic kind of flow of things to
Prost.
make that happen. So roast. So this week for the second part of that talk on driving on, we're going to talk about the subject of resiliency and why that is so crucially important, not just for military folks, but just in your lives in general. So that's a big one. So let's kind of start diving into that subject. So
Let's roll, brother.
yeah, man, let's hit it. So resiliency, I found two definitions that were both kind of equally important. Okay. So the first one I found says the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. The other definition says the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape or elasticity. So if you think about it, that's us to a T. We can be a subject or an object that needs to spring back into shape to recover quickly from difficulties and all that kind of stuff. So,
that's just humans as a species.
Right. That's just us as Homo sapiens. So
correct.
So yeah. So resilience. So, there's going to be things that happen. In your military life. It's just because that's what this show's about. It's a pro-military veteran culture lifestyle kind of stuff. So let's look at it from that aspect. You're going to have things that happen, persevere. You're going to have, you're going to have to be resilient. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about perseverance. Duh. We speak worth.
Speak worth.
Exactly. So being resilient, to be able to recover quickly from difficulty. So I'm not going to say that I was in any way, shape, or form a great model soldier when I was in the Army. I held my own. But when I first got into the military, it was a bit of a culture shock. So one of the things I had to be resilient for was I had to take an extra PT test because the last PT test came and I failed the sit-ups. Still went out there and did pretty good for a person who's not really a runner, and did good for my age group. But I just had to be resilient and go out there and take another test and freaking power through it. And it's like, all right, cool. And I passed and stayed with my graduating class. And hey, it's all good. I would have taken probably a PT test a day until they freaking had me I was able to pass it. But whatever. It was a different time too. But
yeah.
Anyway, resiliency. I mean, there's things that happen. Like people get injured. I know of folks that get injured out of school. As long as you are able to come back, they'll let you come back. As long as you don't quit, as long as you're able to say, all right, I'm healed up, let's try this again.
Yep.
That's the heart and soul of resiliency. What do you want to say on that topic there, Alamo?
No, I mean, it's just, it's really kind of in a nutshell, just pick yourself back up, keep driving the fuck on, as we so aptly titled our series
all the time.
You gotta if you gotta pick yourself up by the ball sack, fucking pick yourself up by the ball sack. Hey, I'll just say it this way: if you pick yourself up by the ball sack, that'll wake you up a lot quicker than picking yourself by the belt. But I don't know.
I question your methods, sir.
Indeed. Question away, my friend. But the reason I kind of went with the David Goggins thing is David Goggins is one of those guys. If you meet him in real life, you kind of think he's like borderline fucking sadist, just because of the amount of pain and things like that he puts himself through. But he does it specifically so that not only can he spring back from something that he messed up on, but he can teach himself how to be better for it later. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
but to talk about to interrupt you real quick, for what he was talking about in that video, talking about how like the instructors was going on the runs, you knew the start point, you knew the end point, and they got the end point, and then they just kept going. It's a little bit of a mind fuck, but that builds up that mental toughness and resiliency
I mean,
to
that
just
that happened. I mean, think about it. That's happened plenty of times in our military career, especially
yeah.
during basic. Like, I mean, I could think of a couple of times where the fucking drill sergeants are like, "Oh yeah, we got 1 more mile." It's like you get done with the ruck march, and fucking you get done with that extra mile, and it's like, "Oh yeah, we were at the end of the day. I'm proud of you. We were fucking with you." Like, the fuck? Guess what? Y'all marched an extra 2 miles. Congratulations,
So, and
Mr. Sergeant.
I guess it's also a difference of approach. Like if you're just going to say, "Hey, we're going to keep going," that's kind of that's slightly different because like if you say it's 1 mile, you're still thinking it's 1 mile. Like this is a long ass mile.
Yeah.
If you just don't say what it is, as opposed to saying we got 1 mile and it's actually two, that's not so much of a stretch versus just the unknown. Because then you really have to gut and nut check yourself. Just be like, okay, well, I don't know when
Yeah.
I'm going to go, so I got to pace myself and freaking go from there. So,
Oh yeah. It was
but
interesting.
yeah, but one of the things that I thought I was looking at during our research, so something that a lot of people are that might not be aware of is that resiliency is a skill. It's not a trait.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So as a skill, it is something you. It's just like swinging a baseball bat, being shooting a firearm, uh, practicing marksmanship with a bow and arrow. It's something you can improve upon.
Yeah.
It's not just something that's like, oh, hey, you got it or you don't. No, you can train yourself into being more resilient. Thank you, Uncle Sam, for doing that for me because I was a snot nosed fucking kid when I joined the military, and it's like I wasn't that tough at all. And now it's just like, all right, I'm pretty good for me, so
Yar.
I'm good with that. So, but anyway, so go out there and like you said, resiliency is important because a lot of things happen in life. You can get injured, whether it's um, in military or in your civilian life. I know somebody where they were, I think this person too. Like this, your senior year, your spring break of your senior year, this person got off the bus and rolled their ankle, and then had to stay home for the entire spring break and stuff. And that was just like,
Mhm.
so it sucks and shit. But you know what? It
You're.
happens.
It does. It sucks ass.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all kind of things that happen there. It could be an injury. It could be some kind of setback. One of the things that made me, I had to be resilient of is, towards the time, my end of the time in the military is I had guys that I had served with that were getting promoted over me because they were going to stay in and stuff. And I was just like, well, and at first I was like, the fuck? Like,
I know that feeling too.
seriously? But, you
Mhm.
know, it is what it is. Um, Getting sidetracked, unexpected things happen. You have a change in your routine of your family. You have all kind of things. It kind of goes back to the old saying, "Tough times don't last, but tough people do." Perfect example of that. So while we were researching this topic, we found some good information on this.
Yitter.
So we found some stuff. There's four types of resiliency that we're going to cover. There's 5 pillars of things of resiliency, of 5 pillars relating to resiliency, and there's also 10 traits of resilient people. So we're kind of doing a little bit of an amalgamation of all of these articles that we found, and just kind of
Yar.
start a little chat. So Alamo did most of the legwork on the last one, so it's my turn. I'm up, so I got point man. So here we go. So
Point away.
the 4 types of resiliency we have again. So resiliency, um, it's the ability to cope with and recover from setbacks. People who remain calm in the face of danger have resilience. Um, People with psychological resilience are able to use their skills and strengths to respond to life's challenges, such as the death of a loved one, divorce, financial issues, illness, job loss, medical emergencies, natural disasters. I mean, hey, we both live in Florida. Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Duh. So instead of falling into despair or hiding from issues by using unhealthy coping strategies, they face life's difficulties head on. Okay. So, what are some signs of resilience? Okay. Resilient people often have a number of difficult characteristics that help them weather life's challenges. Some of those signs include a survivor mentality. When they're resilient, they view themselves as survivors. They even view they know that even when things are difficult, they can keep going until they make it through. Effective emotional regulation. Now, this one I think is kind of one of the more important ones to me personally, in my opinion. Resilience is marked by an ability to manage emotions in the face of stress, whether it's driving, whether it's things going on in your work life, your personal life, your familial life. I mean, hey, it's all about how you keep a level head. Sometimes it's easier than others, to be fair, because we all have those moments. So this doesn't mean that resilient people don't experience strong emotions such as anger, sadness, or fear, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It means that they recognize those feelings are temporary and can be managed until they pass. Which, everybody gets angry, man. Everybody gets upset and pissed at times. It's all about how
Yo.
you deal with it. There's that poem that I quote all the time. It's called "Attitude" by Charles Swindoll. The last line of the poem says, "I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% how you manage it, how you handle it." Very, very, very spot on. I refer to that constantly. Feeling in control. Feeling in control. Resilient people tend to have a strong internal locus of control and feel that their actions can play a part in determining the outcome of events. Problem solving skills. When problems arise, resilient people look at the situation rationally and try to come up with solutions that will make a difference. Self compassion. That's a big one. Another sign of resilience is showing self acceptance and self compassion. Resilient people treat themselves with kindness, especially when things are hard. And that can be a little difficult at times. I know I've struggled with that. I'm always the kind of person where I check on other people. I kind of forget to be a little bit, taking stock of myself, mental health and emotional health and whatnot. And that's something I've gotten better at recently. I can still get better at it, but yeah. Social support. Having a solid network of supportive people is another sign of resilience. Resilient people recognize that the importance of support and knowing when they need to ask for help. Hold on just a minute. I got to grab something. Okay. Had to get my whistle wetter.
You gotta whet your whistle.
Correctamundo. So moving on into this. So what are the types of resilience? There's four major types. For most of these articles that we kind of referred to, they have all agreed that there's four major types. So you have physical resilience. Number one refers to how the body deals with change and recovers from physical demands, illnesses, and injuries. Research suggests that this type of resilience plays an important role in health and affects how people age as well as how they respond and recover from physical stress and medical issues. Mental resilience is number two, refers to a person's ability to adapt to change and uncertainty, as we talked about, as it was referred to in the Goggins video at the beginning of the episode. People who possess this type of resilience are flexible and calm during times of crisis. They use mental strength to solve problems, move forward, and remain hopeful even when they are facing setbacks. Excuse me. Emotional resilience is number three. It involves being able to regulate emotions during times of stress. Resilient people are aware of their emotional reactions and tend to be in touch with their inner life. Because of this, they are also able to calm their mind and manage their emotions when they are dealing with negative experiences. This type of resilience also helps people maintain wow. Blah, blah, blah.
Sense.
This type of resilience also helps people maintain a sense of optimism when times are tough. Because they are emotionally resilient, they understand that adversity and difficult emotions won't last forever. And like anything we
I
talked
think he
about,
covered. I think he covered that in that video too.
absolutely. I mean, that
Yeah.
whole thing, everything in that video, I mean, we didn't exactly plan it like that, but it's just checking all these boxes on this stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's absolutely like spot on. Oh, I lost my page here. Here we go. The fourth and final type of resilience is social, which may also be called community resilience. It involves the ability of groups to recover from difficult situations. It involves people connecting with others and working together to solve problems that affect people both individually and collectively. Aspects of social resilience include coming together after disasters, supporting each other socially, becoming aware of the risks that the community faces, and building a sense of community. And I'm going to stop right there and just reflect like that's the one thing I will always say about my time in the guard is you saw that firsthand. You come out during, we got activated for state active duty by the governor, came out during, natural disaster, hurricane relief and all that stuff. And that's the kind of stuff you see people working together, check on everybody. And it's just one of those, like, I don't know that you would see that. And correct me if feel free to chime in on this there, Alamo. But like I feel like that's one of the special things about being in the Guard versus the reserves or in the active duty force is that you don't necessarily see it on that kind of intimate level that you would do with the community that you serve, because you're out there. And I mean, especially like if you're not going to have hurricane or disaster relief if you're in Germany, or maybe I would say maybe like if you're out in like Schofield Barracks or something in Hawaii, and it's a small place, you have the Hawaii Guard out there and stuff, but that might be a little bit different. But most places, I would argue that's really not something you're going to see on a firsthand basis to that level of intensity. What do you say about that?
No, I absolutely agree, man. I can't think of like when I was still in like the reserves or whatever. I'm gonna be honest and say I can't remember being on duty for anything in terms of like being there for like any kind of like hurricane relief or anything like that. Like I know that's kind of something that's very unique to the National Guard, where the National Guard has the ability to go out and do these things, and because I think
Yeah.
it's because it's so regulated at the state level. You know what I mean? Disaster relief and things like that actually kind of fall within the I guess the parameters of, or the SOP of the National Guard, because they work at the state level literally 90% of the time, which I
And
think is actually
that's
pretty damn deep.
and that's actually why. And again, like I was super proud of my time in the Guard. Like, everybody, you can say what you want. There's all those, negative euphemisms about being a weekend warrior or a nasty girl. You know what? I'm jog on, whatever. Don't care. I was super proud of that time, man, because yeah, you do serve two masters. Like we actually have awards that are authorized on the state level. Like I actually have
Yeah.
the unit that I was assigned to was awarded the governor's unit citation. So now the thing is, I can't exactly wear that kind of stuff when I go on active duty. I have to strip all that stuff off my uniform if I were to
Yeah.
change to go active duty. But yeah, like I have a Florida commendation medal, like state active duty ribbon, like a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't normally get. And it's just like, it's kind of cool because, it just kind of goes to all that stuff that we did. I mean, especially like in 2004, I was a young PFC. I was gone for like 3 months. We had 4 hurricanes come through, so like we really got out and we got to see the state that we live in. We got to help all these different people, all the way from Orlando, Kissimmee, all the way up into the Panhandle, Destin, um, um, Pensacola, up in that area, Pace and Milton, 2 small towns up there in the Panhandle. Like I was super thrilled to do that. I also went off and did the national, or the federal thing. We got deployed over to Afghanistan and stuff, obviously. But yeah, I mean, that's that sense of community. Like you just see that so much in a situation like that, when everybody's just checking on each other and all that kind of stuff. So, getting back to the article, aspects of social resilience include coming together after disasters, supporting each other socially, becoming aware of the risks that the community faces, and building a sense of community. Such responses can be important during challenges such as natural disasters that affect communities or large groups of people. So, causes of resilience. Social support is another critical variable that contributes to resiliency. Mentally strong people tend to have supportive family and friends to help bolster them in times of trouble, and will tend to have characteristics like being a good communicator, having an internal locus of control, having high emotional intelligence, and managing emotions effectively, holding positive views of themselves and their abilities, possessing the capacity to make realistic plans and stick to them, viewing themselves as fighters rather than the victims of circumstance. And that one, reading that line right there, I was just like, wow, like I could really, really, really connect to that one. It's like, that's
Yeah.
important, like if anybody saw the video that we posted on our Facebook page about midweek, it was a video between John Bernthal, who lately has some fame from playing and portraying Frank Castle, the Punisher,
Okay. The Punisher.
and the newer television series and whatnot. That was, I think, it was on Netflix. Maybe
It
I'm
was a
not.
Netflix series. I believe they're trying to make him reprise his role for I don't know what at some point. But
Is he Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, so he has a podcast called I can't remember it offhand, the Right Ones or something like that. But anyway, he's talking to a gentleman by the name of Nick Kumalatzos, who we've mentioned a couple of times previously, and he is discussing like some low points in his life when he was, trying to figure things out, and he was talking about being out on the beach, and he was gonna, end himself, but he was like talking about being out on the beach, being barefoot, feeling kind of like the waves of the Earth's energy kind of crashing over him, and just kind of helping to get him grounded and kind of back to a good state of mind. And he had mentioned, he's like, you gotta, he's like, guys should be fucking warriors. Doesn't matter how you do it, you need to be a goddamn warrior. Like, don't, and you know, I don't want to paraphrase too much and get it incorrect, but it was an important conversation because, he just talks about, here you got this guy who spent 12 years in the Marine Corps. He spent some time in Force Recon, and he was also a MARSOC operator. So he spent pretty much his entire career in, special operations for the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And you got a guy who's just sitting here being candid about, like, yeah, this sucked. I was going to go kill myself, which is near and dear to our heart because that's how we got started, obviously. But also the fact that, like, if he can do it, man, here's a guy who's successful. He's an entrepreneur. I was telling Alamo about him earlier this week. Like, he's got all these great things going on. He has since changed that around to this resiliency. He's written a bunch of books. He's written a book called The Excommunicated Warrior. It's seven stages of transition, talking about
I'm gonna
coming
get
out.
that damn book.
Yeah, I got on my Amazon list, dude, for sure. But he's got that. He wrote a book. He's written like 4 or 5 books. He wrote a book about like Marine Corps prep. If you're going to go into the Marine Corps, things you can do to start conditioning your body now. He wrote one for Force Reconnaissance prep, MARSOC prep, kind of like how to get your body ready for doing ruck marches and all that kind of stuff. Like, just amazing. He's also got this workout app called the Agogi. He is obviously of Greek descent, and the Agogi was for the Spartan warriors, I believe, back in the day.
It was basically the training program that young boys would enter in order to become Spartan warriors by the time they graduate, which is usually around, I believe it was around 16, 17. It's like right about, because
typically high school age.
So I was going to say, typically then for warriors of that class, they were essentially of fighting age back then. And what they would do is they would put them through philosophy courses. They would put them, I mean, the Agogi was everything from physical training to mental and, from competitions of wit.
And now you hear, to kind of put that into perspective, like people that age, during our time in the military, like when we would have contact with folks, we would actually use the term military age males. So you talk about like 18 to 33 or something like that. So 33, 38, something like that. But yeah, but he's got that. He also has a partnership with this guy. He's a business partner with this guy who has a hair care product company, which I got this guy stuck on earlier this week, Johnny Slicks, who another Marine veteran. But like, that resiliency, if he didn't have that, man, he probably could have sat there and blew his fucking brains out on this beach, as opposed to
fucking thing, bro.
As opposed to saying, I got a wife, I got a family. He had 2 girls. Now he's got a son, Demetrios, which is cool because if you see this kid, you're like, that's a ginger-headed little kid. Like, he walks outside in the sun, his shit's on fire. Like, it's crazy. Like John Reap said. But yeah, I mean, that could have, if he didn't have that resiliency, he could have just easily washed that away. If he didn't have the resiliency to stay with the Agogi program, like if you look at that dude's physique, it's like, I'm not trying to be weird or homo or nothing. No offense to nobody, but like, that's a good looking dude. Like, he's a specimen. You just look at him like, damn, that's what I want. Like, Jesus. So
yeah, that's right about where I want to be, man. Yeah, I'm trying to get my shit right there.
Yeah,
to catch my meaning.
So yeah, having all of these things. So the one last thing I want to read on here is this one part. It talks about the impact of resilience. Resilience is what gives people the psychological strength to cope with stress and hardship. It is a mental reservoir of strength that people are able to call on in times of need to carry them through without falling apart. Sorry, I kind of got a little lost there. Yeah, here we go. Thank you, Swedish Chef. I speak words. I speak things in words and stuff. Psychologists believe that resilient individuals are better able to handle adversity and rebuild their lives after a struggle. Dealing with change or loss is an inevitable part of life. At some point, everyone experiences varying degrees of setbacks. I think I just said that shit earlier. Yeah. Some of these challenges might be relatively minor, not getting into a class or being turned down for promotion at work. This guy. While others are disastrous on a much larger scales, hurricanes and terrorist attacks. This guy. Those who lack resilience may become overwhelmed by such experiences. They may dwell on problems and use unhelpful coping mechanisms to deal with them. Disappointment
Drinking excessively, drugs. Need I go on?
Pick your poison.
Indeed.
Disappointment or failure might drive them to unhealthy, destructive, or even dangerous behaviors.
Yes.
These individuals are slower to recover from setbacks and may experience more psychological distress as a result. Okay, so what are some ways what are some things that we can help? So the 5 pillars of resilience. By strengthening these pillars, we in turn become more resilient instead of experiencing an overwhelming downward spiral when we encounter stress in our lives. These 5 pillars work together to lift us up out of the chaos we are feeling. Excuse me. Oh, good man, push. I had leftovers of the turkey tonight, and I feel like a fatty McFuck all over again. So it's terrible.
It happens.
Yeah. At least the tryptophan's not hitting so hard tonight. That's a good thing. So the five pillars of self-awareness. Okay, the 5 pillars of resilience. The first one, as I just slipped out of the mouth, self-awareness, is having a clear perception of your personality, including your strengths, weaknesses, thoughts, beliefs, motivation, and emotions. Self-awareness allows you to understand other people, how they perceive you, your attitude, and your responses to them in the moment. Mindfulness, a state of active, open attention on your present. When you're mindful, you observe your thoughts and feelings from a distance without judging them good or bad. Instead of letting your life pass you by, mindfulness means living in the moment and awakening to experience. And that's something I think people probably don't do enough of nowadays. I mean, you're so caught in the routine, the daily grind, the hustle and bustle. Go to work, get up, go to work, jump out of bed to be just over broke. Go to your job, sitting there in a cubicle, doing all this all day, go home, beat your pillow, cry in the shower, whatever you got to do, and you get up and do it all over again. And the weekends are your only reprieve. Be mindful. Have that spontaneity to just kind of live in the moment. I took her home tonight, and we were just like, it was a pretty sunset outside, and we just kind of were like, hey, let's jump in the car. So we drove up to the top of the hospital near where I live. And you can kind of see like the downtown area, like way off in the distance, a good, 10, 12 miles. And you got to see some of the sun going down, the colors like the orange and the blues and the purples. And, and it was cool. It was just kind of like that one little, like, all right, let's go do this. It was fun. So I highly, highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
Self-care is unique for each person and can be understood in many different ways. In its simplest form, the term refers to our ability as human beings to function effectively in the world while meeting the multiple challenges of daily life with a sense of energy, vitality, and confidence. Self-care is initiated and maintained by us as individuals. It requires our active engagement. And that's something that especially in the last couple of years, like I've really struggled with. It's just the self-care. It's like, I got to remember, like, take care of me. I'm like, I really want to go do something. I need to go do this, but I'm like, no, I'm just going to go be off by myself. And
yeah,
I'm going to go mentally fuck off for a little while.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Cause I'm gonna be honest. I escaped a lot with like different, just doing kind of like different shit that includes anything from,
Sure.
working out and everything else. But I started slacking on that. You know what I mean? I started
Yeah.
slacking on my workouts. I started slacking on a whole bunch of stuff. Before I knew it, I blew up to fucking 215 pounds. And for a guy that's 5'7", I'm not very tall, people. That's not good. That's not good at all. Like when
I'm in shape. Round is the shape.
I've round is the shape. When like I'm just saying when your blood type is
Why
fudge,
do you look like that? I was
when
at the
you're
gym. I was at the gym, Sergeant.
when
Private
you're
Potato. What
when,
the fuck are you doing?
when your blood
I
type
was
is
trying to
fudge
do squat
pudding,
thrusts, Sergeant.
when your blood type is fudge pudding,
Oh, stop! It's
I
pudding. Come on, dude.
I don't know. But just saying though,
No,
you know, I got lackadaisical because of just the state I was in terms of, unfortunate depression and things
hey
like
man,
that.
it happens. That happens to all of us, dude. We've all been there. We've all done that kind of shit. Something I found is that's been kind of helpful, especially like, you know, when I'm just like sitting somewhere where I have to be there. Like sometimes if I'm, doing whatever, I'll just kind of sit there and just find something just to engage myself mentally. Like, not this last week, but the week before, like I had a couple of minutes where I was just kind of sitting on my own, and I started like remembering I haven't written in cursive in forever, and I was sitting there like, okay, A,
I haven't written in cursive
yeah,
probably longer.
because and I was sitting there thinking about that because I'm like, they don't teach that in school, so it's
Nope.
gonna be on
Because
me.
you know why? Because everything is. Oh, and
Yeah. So like I was kind of starting to go over it, and I was like, okay, I remember how to do this, and like I wrote this stupid letter just to practice my cursive, and it was like an acceptance letter. It says, to who it may concern. Oh, hold on, I got it right here. Wait one.
rock on.
Says to, oh, it's an application letter, and I just wrote it in cursive because for the fuck of it. It says, to
Yeah.
to whom it may concern, I would like to apply for the position of poophead. If needed, I can provide character references upon request. Thank you for your time and attention. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Respectfully, and I signed my name. And I was like, it's amazing like how easily you sign your name in cursive because you've
Yep.
written it,
50 million times.
especially when you join the military. Like, oh my gosh, it's a lot. But like other words, and I would think of like just really weird words that I'd have to write out in cursive. I'm like,
Weird words.
weird words. I don't have that as much as you do, but
Weird words.
yeah, something like that would just kind of keep me like mentally active, and that led to being resilient to where I'm not sitting there just like, oh my god, I hate my life, blah, 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 this sucks. So it's little shit, man, it helps. Positive relationships are the
Yar.
people who support and care for us, and we care for them. This is your inner circle. Okay, one of the most profound experiences we can have in our lives is the connection we have with other human beings. We're social creatures, people, just like chimpanzees, like orangutans, like primates. Same shit. They have a hierarchy. Thank you for the sound effects. Moving on. By building positive relationships with others, we will be happier and more fulfilled and feel more supported, and connected. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Positive and supportive relationships will help us feel healthier, happier, and more satisfied with our lives.
And you know what, man? Like when you hear stuff like that, what's one trait you notice with guys that that unfortunately tend to go through with self-deletion? They have a tendency to isolate. They freaking
Yeah.
stop receiving phone calls. They put people on straight to voicemail. Like
Your inner
they
circle becomes broken. It's broken.
yeah.
If it was chain link, you have one link of the chain that's broken, and it's all just fractured and
It's
splintered and stuff.
fucking
And
shattered.
yeah,
And it's really really unfortunate because I think what it comes down to is, a lot of guys they got so used to having their support structure being, their brothers, their sisters in arms. You know what I
There's-
mean? When they're
they're
overseas.
their platoon buddies and their squad mates and their
And
battle buddies, and they don't have that. And it's just
yeah,
it's
nobody
like you're
understands me. Fucking my family doesn't get it. They just think I'm kind of nuts. They think I'm crazy. And
yeah.
because they don't have, what the support structure they've been used to, they just end it all.
Yeah,
And
that's what we're here to stop.
it sucks, man.
The
Keep a community close, man.
Yeah, it takes a tribe, man. It takes a
Yeah.
village. The fifth pillar of resilience is purpose, a recognition that we belong to and serve something bigger to ourselves. And I think if this strikes true to anybody,
Yeah.
it's the veteran community.
Fuck yes.
I mean, we understand. I mean, look at how many guys, like a good friend of mine, Danny Alvarez. He just got elected to the House of Representatives for the state of Florida for District 69. So
Nice.
Representative Alvarez, congratulations, man. But yeah, it's just, I mean, so here's a guy who was, and he was in the service. He was an infantry captain. He ended up serving with the Silver Wings at Fort Benning. Became a lawyer, did all this other stuff. He was, special projects manager for the sheriff's office. He was the chief communications officer. He was like the liaison for all that kind of stuff. So he's one of those guys that like just absolutely personifies the term service. Like he's all about helping other people, man. And I'm so proud of him because he's one of those dudes. He's like, he would literally give you the shirt off his back, like literally. But our purpose helps to shape the mindset and attitude we have towards others and the events we experience. We can find purpose in our faith, family, a political party.
We'll put a disclaimer on that one that especially as of lately, putting your identity in anything other than the first two probably things.
So the other parts of that. So let me finish that sentence. We can find purpose in our faith, family, a political party, being green. Okay, sort of. Or being part of an organization like the Boy Scouts. Like one of the things that my grandfather did, he was with the American Legion in Zephyr Hills and just loved it. Just that was one of the things that he just really was proud to be associated with. So going to breeze through this last part. So we have the 10 traits of highly resilient people. Okay. Number 1, open to new ideas. They're able to keep their minds open, curious, and able to adapt. Welcome change, but know that they welcome change because they know it's a part of life, and learning to see how change as an opportunity is a critical part of being resilient. 2, not afraid of the unknown. Many people find change difficult because they don't control what happens next. However, resilient individuals tend not to focus on what might go wrong because they know that whatever happens will be part of their journey. And that's something I've said with all the setbacks I've had, the things that have happened in my life. I got asked that question recently, like, what's the one thing you go back and change? And I said, I wouldn't, because good, bad, or other, all of my experiences in my life have made me the person I am now. And, I'm pretty proud of this guy. Years ago, he had a lot of growing up to do. Maybe I'm just getting salty and sappy in my old age, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's everything that's shut up. It's everything. Fair. It's everything that's happened that forges you into the person you are, and that's crucial. Don't ever shortchange yourself. Let the things happen that are going to happen. 3, they don't let their emotions control them. It's common for everyday stress to build up and create negative emotions. Strong feelings like anger, sadness, or anxiety may be overwhelming, but resilient individuals can self-regulate these emotions without letting them take over. Just being in that mental control, not being in control of everything around you, just being in control of yourself. That's helpful. Number 4, this one is important. They are grateful for what they already have. Living in the present moment is extremely important for resilient people. And one of the best ways to do that is to appreciate what you have right now. Resilient people tend to focus on what they still have, even in difficult or stressful times. You may not have the nicest car. You may not have the slickest, you may not be that kid in high school that had everything handed to him. I worked with a guy when I was in retail. He just had all this nice stuff because his parents were rich and, he was kind of a rich kid. Nothing against the guy. He unfortunately kind of filled that stereotypical, spot.
Rich kid.
Yeah. So He had a nice truck. He had nice guns that he got to shoot all the time. And he had nice stuff because he could afford it. But then he's like, how do you shoot that good? Like, you got to practice with this stuff. Just having nice stuff doesn't mean you can apply it well. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. Number 5, their self-esteem is high no matter what life throws at them. That's important. Keeping your head up. That's what my dad used to say all the time. Keep your head held high. No matter what happens, just be proud of who you are. Highly resilient people don't get down on themselves when life isn't going great. They understand that everyone has difficult times, but they're confident in their ability to deal with them and become stronger.
Yar.
Number 6, they know that doing nothing lasts forever and that change is inevitable. Resilient people are flexible and adaptable, so they can deal with the unexpected. They understand that life is consistently changing and the obstacles will always arise on the road to fulfilling our goals. I feel like we've heard this somewhere too. Holy crap. Number 7, they can bounce back from obstacles and setbacks. Resilient people know better than anyone else that there will always be ups and downs. They prioritize learning what they can from their hardships rather than dwelling on them or making excuses for their behavior. Number 8, they embrace change as an opportunity for growth. Whenever most people are faced with change, they fight against it or resist it because they don't like the idea of things being different. However, resilient people understand that change is inevitable and opens up new personal growth and development doors. Okay. You hear it all the time. Somebody gets fired from their job. So, their spouse stepping up says, hey, I'm going to go apply for a job, and they get it, and it puts them in a better spot. It happens all the time, whether it's yourself, whether it's your family, whether it's those around you. It's important. Number 9, they know how to ask for help without feeling weak or ashamed. Now, this is one that kind of rings true because this used to be me. It kind of still is from time to time, but not nearly as bad as it was. Like, it was almost debilitating. Many people struggle when going through stressful periods by asking for help. However, resilient individuals have a robust support system, whether it's family, friends, or coworkers. So they're never afraid to reach out for assistance if they need it. Hold on. Thought I was going to sneeze. Sorry. I didn't want to. Shut up. Seeking out other people for their wisdom and support is one of the resilient people's most powerful coping strategies. It helps them avoid being overwhelmed by obstacles and boosts confidence to get through difficult times. And number 10, they see difficult times as opportunities for personal growth. Rather than using their challenges as an excuse to give up or wallow in self-pity, resilient people take a decidedly different approach, which is why they can bounce back from adversity. When life gives them lemons, they try making lemonade instead of dwelling on how sour those lemons are. Resilient people know that difficulties can be used as catalysts for change and growth. So instead of being defined by their struggles, those who learn from the pain and use it as motivation become stronger over time. So yeah, no matter what happens, you're gonna have things, and we're gonna
I think
double
8
tap on
and 10 are probably the ones I have the hardest time with. Not gonna lie.
8 and 10. So seeing difficult times as opportunities for growth,
Yeah.
and embracing change as an opportunity for growth. So,
Yeah.
well, I get that. Knowing how to ask help
I'm
without
working
feeling
on it,
weak or
folks.
ashamed, like, hey, we're all work in progress.
Yeah.
It's all good. But yeah, so that's our talk on resiliency and why it's important, not just for military folk that we associate with or belong to or identify with, but it's anybody. If you don't work on your resiliency, you're never going to get better at it because it's a skill. It's not a trait, like we mentioned.
Yep.
This is something that can be improved through time and practice and application.
Yard.
And that's up to you. We want to see everybody go out there and be the best that they can, do the best that they can be, do the best that they can, and be the best person that they are trying to be. And that's how you go about it. Just go out there and apply and practice and all that kind of stuff. Don't just sit there and sit there and worry and wallow and all stuff. Like, go out there and do what you got to do, man. Any final thoughts on that there, buddy?
No, I would say I'm probably the fucking working example of that. I ran into a lot of issues after I lost my job as a fucking police officer. You know what I mean? And mentally, I will say that it, kind of fucked my head up for a while. Um, and it was very, 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 very difficult for me to get out of that hole that my mind kind of went into.
Yep.
You know, to the point of like it started interfering with my marriage, where my wife started getting very frustrated because she's thinking like, why the hell can't you just be fucking okay, hurry the fuck up and get over this shit, kind of deal. That's not me
No,
talking smack about my wife, by the way. It's just
but
I
knowing
was
knowing
difficult to deal
knowing
with.
knowing your wife the way that I know your wife, like that makes sense how she would kind of, because she's very upbeat and positive, and she's like, why can't you just like unfuck yourself,
Yeah.
you know? But and again, not a knock on your lovely bride,
No,
but
not at all.
I get totally why you would say that, and that
Yeah.
knowing her as well as I do now, that's like, yeah, I can see that. So
Yeah. No, and that was the thing. That's why, like, when I was going through it, I got offended and I got very upset at her. Like, oh, well, why are you being like that? But I look back now and I'm like, yeah, I was kind of being a bit of a bitch.
and she's just looking out for you, man. She had your best interest at heart, dude. She like I said, she's a keeper. She's a great
Yeah.
one, man.
And
They don't make too many of them like that, man.
yeah,
So,
no. And it just is what it is, man. I would say we all have to kind of work through, the emotional fucking roller coasters we put ourselves through in really any kind of stressful situation that includes, when things don't pan out the way you feel like they pan out. You know, I think about it this way. Had It's a possibility that, if I'd have stayed being a police officer, this show may not even have came to be. Um, among other fucking things.
was that before? I thought that wasn't you weren't a cop during the show, were you?
No.
That was before. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So look at that. So
So
like I was saying earlier, not to cut you off, dude.
no, you're good.
Like I was saying earlier, who we are is defined by our experiences, good, bad, or other. And if you
Yeah.
don't accept the bad ones and just look at them and are able to look back on them for the purpose of learning, growth, and reflection, it's like,
Yeah.
then it's what good is having going through it for? Good, yeah, everybody's happy with the hunky dory shit. And like I go back to what is that movie? Inside Out, talking about the when you have like joy. Have you seen that one? I think it's a Pixar movie. You've got the 5 different emotions. You've got
Yes. You got
I
happiness,
I
or
know
excuse me, joy,
joy,
sadness,
sadness,
anger,
anger,
disgust,
and fear.
and fear. Yeah. Which was
And
perfect.
I know that's a bit of a stretch, but like if you think about it, that's a great movie to look at because all the core memories started off being happy and stuff, but at the same time, some of those other memories that she started reflecting on were sad ones, like when she was like you didn't like win the hockey thing and like the hockey championship game and she lost and the parents
Yep.
come over and all stuff. That's okay. Like it's okay to have sad memories of shit. Like there's a lot of sad memories that I have that are kind of very important to who I am as a person.
Yeah.
But you can't let it define you, but you can just sit there
Yeah.
and take that and just be like, okay, that's part of who I am and I'm gonna roll with it and go from there and stuff. So
Absolutely.
but anyway, that's going to be our talk on driving on part 2, talking about resiliency. So we thank you guys for sticking it out with us and chatting about it. If you're watching this for the first time, hopefully that's not too many people compared to the people that are watching it for a repeat time, second or subsequent time.
Yeah.
This show got, as Alamo mentioned, this show got started when we learned about a friend of ours that we used to work with, John, when we worked in retail, who unfortunately chose to solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution. And that's very, very unfortunate because John was just one of those dudes that like you wanted to be around him. He was a funny guy. He made work fun. Like we just did some dumb shit at work, and it just made
Yep.
it fun. It was just like the stupid antics that we did. It was just so good because of that funny fucker. Like straight up, just made it so awesome. But unfortunately, like I said, John had some demons, and unfortunately chose to solve a temporary problem with a permanent
Permanent
solution.
solution.
And
Yeah.
that's never a good route. And when we started talking about doing a podcast, we found out about John in this, and I was just like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. That was a sign. Let's fucking go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the process of building this show and coming up and figuring out what it was going to be about and this, that, and the other, we came up with the Bros Code. And what the Bros Code is just 4 easy little things you can do to kind of just help keep yourself fighting on, driving on, striving towards the objective, all that kind of shit. So if you can remember these 4 things, you've got a 95% chance of being good to go. Okay. So the first one, be tenacious. Okay. No matter what you do in life, whether you're a garbage man, a postal service, worker, if you're a freaking cop, if you're an EMT, a paramedic, a service member, a parent, whatever the job may be, whatever your defining role is, or even if you have several of those, do it to the utmost of your ability. Go out there and do it to 100%. Don't, like Ron Swanson said, don't half-ass 2 things. Whole ass
one thing.
Exactly. All right. You go out there and you just do it to the best of your ability, and it's just something about going out there and doing it to the utmost capability that you can is just so fulfilling. Like being the best parent. Nobody wants to be the guy who just gives like, take that ordinary, give it a little bit extra. And if you caught that reference, you're fucking awesome too. R, refuse to surrender. Okay, like we talked about today, there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be obstacles that come up that are just going to cause you to have to go back and kind of figure things out. You may get injured, you may have to sit out your senior year on a high school sports team or something, and that's unfortunate, but there's other ways you can do that. You can go out there and be supportive. You can help them, help the other players on the team by being supportive and all that kind of junk. If you had an injury, we had to recycle Ranger School. Okay, drive on. See how it all interconnects? Yeah. Pretty awesome. We planned that. Shut up. Quit laughing at me, dude. I'm on a roll here, man. Fuck.
No.
Fine. Just sit over there and do your NPR voice in your head and be quiet.
I will do my NPR voice.
Obviously, he was thinking, I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Jesus. Bob Euchre, so good. But yeah, no matter what happens, man, don't let things get you down. You're gonna get twisted sideways. Get your dick knocked in the dirt. Ladies can get their dick knocked in the dirt. That's not a hermaphrodite reference or anything.
Yeah,
disrespectful. No. It's just it's a state of being. It's things happen where you get. It's like that song by Chumbawamba, Tub Thumper. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna beat me down. I get knocked down. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We should have had that as an outro. That would have been so good, man. The references game. Our reference game is on fucking fire tonight. So refuse to surrender, no matter what it is. Don't let it beat you. Oh, obliterate your obstacles. When those obstacles do come up in your life, get around them. Okay, whatever the case may be, whatever you have to do. Sometimes you have to scale a wall. Sometimes you have to dig under the wall. Sometimes you have to go around it. You have to go 50 meters out in the wood line to get off through it. Sometimes you got to blow it up with some Bangalores and some C4. Sometimes you back a striker into it. Sometimes you air assault on the top floor and work your way down. Whatever you got to do, okay? As long as you're still striving towards that mission objective, that OBJ, fucking drive on and do it, man. S, the most important one of the 4. Seek out help in time of need, okay? As we mentioned, there's going to be times, where there's not a day that goes by that I don't wish that I, at least myself, could have stayed in contact with John and just checked up on him. I mean, we do that all the time. We look at our phone. We look at phone, especially for folks that have like more than 400 people on their Facebook. It's like, I don't keep track of everybody, but like, hey, I make the time to just check up on people every once in a while. But even in your phone, if you're one of those folks that like prefers to text messages, like looking through all that stuff, like reach out to those folks.
Yeah.
Like Alamo mentioned earlier, people get out of the military, they tend to isolate, or they can have the potential to isolate because they just lose that support system. Check on
Yeah.
your friends. If you don't have somebody that you can talk to, a family member, you know, a friend, a battle buddy, you know, somebody you served with, like there's resources out there. We want to keep you here. We want to have you tell your story. Okay. If you're feeling like you're one of those people, reach out. There is, you know, if you're feeling like you're wanting to harm yourself, like there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't, you know,
Yeah.
and they're all going to be a better reason as to why you should harm yourself. You know, people want to hear your story. People need to hear your story. People want to have you around. So, in the event you are going down that dark road, there are some resources out there. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can call that 24/7, and the phone number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And as of this summer, they have a new way to get in touch with them. You can just dial 988 or dial or text the 3 digits 988, and that'll get you in touch with them too. And that's great because, you know, we live in a text-friendly society and day and age now. So
Yep.
not always a phone call. You can sit there and talk to somebody. They will have somebody get on the phone and reach out to you and whatnot. So no matter what happens, man, like there's people out there. You need to make sure you stay resilient. Just because you deserve to be here like anybody else. Don't let the hard times get you down. Don't let things get you twisted and all that stuff. Like you deserve to be here. So that's all I got. I'm gonna pass over to this guy and he's gonna sign us off here. So do your piece there, brother.
All right. So I said it
What the hell
before.
that was.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Just make sure you follow us over on the social medias. You can find us over on our main page over at the facebook.com @/battlebros.podcast. You can also find us over on the Twitter space at Battle Bros PC. You can find us on the Insta at Battles. Wrong one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Shut your face.
I'm looking at that.
At Battle Bros _podcast.
No.
Nyet. Just make sure you reach out to us, man. You can Nyet. You can just reach out to us. We have multiple different platforms that you can contact us on, from the Gmail, which is our battlebrospc@gmail.com. You can find where you can email us directly, and you can also contact us on the Facebook. You can contact us on the Instagram, and you can do pretty much every single person on Instagram or Facebook or all those others. If you're a millennial, Gen Z, or whatever, you know about the fucking instant messenger on all those platforms. Hey, message us. We will get back to you. I think we've shown a pretty good track record with a lot of our listeners and a lot of the people that do follow us, that do write us. We answer you back pretty quick. Lastly, but not leastly, support us over there on Anchor. You can, like I said, you can catch us over on Anchor. You can catch us on Spotify, all that good stuff. But if you like what you hear, if you like the show, help the show grow. And you can do that over on Anchor. All you have to do is click on Battle Bros, and you can find the support button right there where you find the little follow/support button.
I know you're doing your thing. I just have to interrupt real quick. Like that sounded like the most hippie-tastic freaking thing. Like the show, help us grow. Like it just sounded like something straight out of the 70s, man. It's like, it's just like we're gonna be in a VW band.
Here's
like,
the rose for you.
God.
Seriously though, guys, contact us. We'll be a community for you. I don't give a shit if you're feeling low and like you're gonna do something. I'm gonna just say it. Feel like you're gonna do something stupid. I've been there. Message me, message the show. I don't give a damn. I'll contact you and we'll talk for however the hell long.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter as long as you stay here and tell your story.
Yep.
Other than that, I got nothing.
So the last thing I want to say is just we had this in season 2. Now we're going to continue with 4 in season 3. So you can listen to us, like he said, to us on different platforms and whatnot. we're still looking for that one person to be like, Alexa, play the Battle Bros podcast.
Yeah.
First person to do that, we're going to give a shout out to, because that's going to be awesome. Send a video, record a video of it, send it to us, and we will be pretty stoked, pretty humble about it. But we're going to give you some love and respect that's needed, because we've been wanting that to happen.
Yeah.
So next week we are going to be having an interesting conversation. Before I talk about that, we're going to be having a show next week. It'll be played at the same time. We're just not going to be live on Friday. We're going to have to record it on a Thursday night, so we won't be able to interact, but it will play hopefully at the same time, 9 p.m. Friday night. We're going to have a discussion where we're going to do the pros and cons of a topic, which I think is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about the differences, to compare and contrast selfless versus selfish, and why being selfish is not always a bad thing. So
Correct.
Please feel free to tune in and check us out. We would love to, have you watch it. Again, we're not going to be live on here, but we are going to try to play it on our normal time, just so that we don't disrupt our schedule. Hopefully this is one of the things that people kind of look forward to. We can be like, I'm going to watch those two guys on the show talk about dumb shit. So, yeah. Because we speak words. So good. We speak words. So for
Let me tell you what, Wilbur. I'm kidding. No, we're not going to do the old business guys from the Muppets. Although you did have the mustache going.
At least I don't look like a G.I. Joe with a real lifelike hair going on with that shit. So shut up. Exactly. Anyway, so please, thank you again for checking out our show. We appreciate it kindly. Again, we're not going to be live next week. It'll be pre-recorded, but feel free to check it out anyway. Like I said, we're going to talk about selfless versus selfish. Kind of have a little bit of a discussion on that. After that, we should be back to being live the next week. Following that, we don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but next week should be pretty good. So I just realized we're on episode 46, so we have as many episodes as American presidents. Holy crap.
Nice.
That's crazy. It's like we just keep rolling on. So
awesome.
Thank you again for joining us, everybody. This has been episode 046, the discussion on driving on, part 2, talking about resiliency. We look forward to we hope and look forward to seeing you down the road. Checking us out again soon. Just remember, pay it forward, pass this along. You might not be the person that these topics need to get to, but by passing it on, you can definitely get to the right audience and the right target, the targeted audience that we're trying to reach and stuff. So
damn right.
Appreciate you helping us out. But until then, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good night. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but anyway. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week. Not live, but we'll see you next week. And until then, just remember, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek help in a time of need. If you can do that, you're going to be okay. We promise. So until then, this has been Mac and Alamo from the Battle Bros Podcast. Thank you. Love you, and see you next time.
Battle Bros out.
As you were.